But now we look at, all right, how do we take the economic benefit and sustainability and create a larger partnership where we can have a bigger impact. So this is early days. We're just getting started here. There's a lot more that we can do.
You are listening to the Kind of Life podcast, the show that talks to you about science, technology, traveling, art and cuisine for people who love life. Today we're talking with Kurt Lesker, President and CEO at Lesker Company.
Welcome to California.
It's good to be here.
Nice to see you in San Francisco.
Oh my God, I love
How was
it
your
here.
flight?
Flight was easy. Well, I think a lot of people assume that just because my name is Kurt Lesker that it was predetermined that I was going to become the president of the Lesker Company. But, you know, I was always encouraged from a young age to pursue whatever I was passionate about and interested in. And if that turned out not to be the Lesker Company, my parents would have supported that. Well, my first intro to the company was really in high school. I mean, growing up, I didn't know a lot about the company. I mean, my parents did a pretty good job. There were a lot of struggles. I think people assume big, successful company, but there were a lot of tough years growing up, and my parents did a great job kind of separating the children from the business. They didn't want to put that stress on the family. Sport is really important. I mean, one, you challenge yourself, so you push yourself to the limits, which you mentioned the Ironman race. I mean, that was back in 2016, and that absolutely pushed me to my limits. But also, you get to develop such a camaraderie with the people you're competing with. Because I figured, well, I loved golf, but I figured I could play golf my whole life. People play golf well into their 70s, 80s. But the only time I was going to be able to play on a team, an organized team like that, was in high school. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to play soccer all in. I mean, I really liked the team aspect. I was friends with a lot of the people that were on the team. I felt like, you know, again, golf, I could compete later on in life. So I decided to stick with soccer. And I'm glad I switched over. I mean, soccer is such a global sport, and our customer base is global. I mean, we sell into 65 different countries, and I feel like it just, of course, every 4 years with the World Cup, it just unites everybody. I mean, I travel a lot. Certainly COVID put a pause on that. Having lived over in Asia for a couple years, that was a really formative experience in my life. Just to be somewhere where...
Where was your base in Asia? China?
I was in Shanghai. But to be somewhere where the predominant language is not English.
Correct.
I mean, I remember the first couple weeks I was there, several nights coming back, trying to find something to eat, you know, trying to go into a restaurant, order food, thinking I ordered one thing, something like chicken feet come out. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I'll try it. I'll go for it. It was a little challenging the first couple weeks for sure, but I loved it. I mean, I love experiencing different cultures. I love meeting people from all over the world. It's just, there's just such a big world, and I think you can't be too fixated on wherever you're based, saying this is the center of the world. There is no center of the world. I mean, I built really great relationships with people. A lot of them I'm still friends with today. And certainly with the expats, I think there was a common bond that we're all in this foreign country. We're all trying to find our way, find something that's familiar to us. Because at the end of the day, people are people. I mean, they're just trying to build relationships. They're trying to do the best they can for their families. Well, I think you have to adjust. I mean, I can remember a few times in China where I would take maybe a U.S. business mentality, but I was getting mentored Angela Way, who's our Vice President of Asian Operations. I mean, she would often pull me aside and just talk to me about the historical, let's say, cultural impacts in China, why things were the way they were, what was acceptable, what was not acceptable. And I mean, I tried to listen as best I could and adjust and adapt, and some things I tried worked out well, some of them didn't work out as well. But,
I get
but
it.
you listen.
So, but coming back from Asia, back to States, after 2-3 years, 2.5 years, I don't know how long
Yeah,
that.
3 years.
So, how did you feel coming back to Pittsburgh, coming back to United States, and getting involved with business in the United States?
Well, what we have in the U.S. is, I mean, it's just bigger. So being over there with only 40 people, I was able, which I think was really good preparation for then running a larger organization. I was involved in everything. So I didn't get involved in a service call, a sales call, with IT issues, accounting issues. And when you come back to the headquarters, there's just a lot more, everything's scaled up. So it's a little bit more challenging at times, I'd say, to just dig into certain departmental issues. But I mean, overall, it was a really good training ground. And now when I'm dealing with issues in China or in Asia, I'm familiar with the people, the customers. So I feel like I can have a little more empathy for what's going on over there.
Pandemic time.
Yeah, but the pandemic was challenging for my leadership style. I like walking around. I like talking to people.
As
I
we're
like
doing
knowing everybody. Yeah, I mean, that really was difficult for me. I'm not a big fan of the virtual calls. Yeah, it's more efficient, but is it really more effective? I don't think so. I mean, I'm trying to balance those both out, use the best of both worlds, but definitely, as the company grows, you have to think about, okay, what is scalable? And as much as possible, I still talk to every new employee. I do a presentation on our mission, our vision, our values system, kind of how we got where we are today. And it's always really good. I mean, I really enjoy building connections with people and getting to know them on a personal level. Because I tell them this, I said, I want you to be passionate about the company you work for. And hopefully that's here. If it's not here, then ultimately I want you to go find that passion, because life is way too short to not pursue the things you love. Well, I tell all the new employees, I say the people that succeed, the people that we see that succeed are not, you don't have to be the smartest person in the world. You don't have to be the hardest working person in the world. You have to be able to work really well with the team that you're with, right? So I tell them, come in, bring new ideas, take time to build trust and respect with the people that you're working with. Because if you're a lone wolf, or you come in and you think you're the smartest person in the room and your ideas are the best, generally don't see those people succeed long term. Pittsburgh's also become a major leader in robotics.
Correct.
In autonomous driving vehicles.
Yep.
Healthcare, I mean, UPMC, hospital system, banking, it's one of the biggest centers in banking as well. And that's, the infrastructure. We have Carnegie Mellon, you mentioned, that's a huge tie-in. I mean, some of the leading software engineers, robotic engineers come out of Carnegie Mellon, great customer of the Lesker Company. And you'll also see people like Amazon, Google, Apple, Facebook setting up major offices in the Pittsburgh region. So we are a smaller city, certainly, than San Francisco, but I think we punch above our weight. We work with some of the most innovative people and companies in the world. Semiconductors, solar cells, fusion energy, rockets, the next generation technologies. And we're always looking for people that are passionate about that are passionate about making a difference in the world, that are passionate about working with a great team of people. I mean, I look here, the heart of technology and innovation, right? San Francisco, Silicon Valley. And the people that do well at the Lesker Company, the people that really come in and embrace it and want to be part of a larger family, are the people that they're innovative, they're creative, they want to work for an organization where they have an opportunity to travel. We sell to 65 different countries. We have operations in 9 different countries. So they have that opportunity, but they're also not a number. They're part of a larger company, Lesker family. Yeah, and that's what we offer. So we're growing quickly, and we need good people to help us do that successfully.
So Lesker Company pride ourselves when it comes to sustainability. Can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean, sustainability it's the future. I mean, it's the future for our kids, our grandkids. We've been around for 68 years. Sustainability is one of our spirit values. It's something that I think we've really opened up our eyes to over the last 5 years. We start to see the impact of our products, of waste, what that means for the environment, for society, and we've really thought hard about how we can be a better corporate citizen. So what we did is we said, well, you know, we're just a small, medium-sized, privately held company. We need to take a look at what's available out there and try and attach ourselves to something larger, a larger movement. So we looked at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and we latched on to 3 of them in particular. UN SDG number 3, good health and well-being. Number 8, decent work and economic growth. And number 12, which is responsible consumption and production. And we break down sustainability into the environmental aspect, which I think a lot of companies talk about, also the societal aspect, and economic sustainability. You know, being a healthy, profitable company is very important, so that you can have well-paying jobs, you can employ more people, you can have a bigger impact. When we look at some of the biggest things we've done, I think there's a baseline that a lot of companies are going through now, right? Implementing recycling programs, switching out all of their lighting to LED. I'd say those are standard. Every company should do that.
Correct.
We've started to invest more money now in switching out our electricity generation to be solar-based. And that, of course, is an investment, but when we look at it as a privately held company, we can make that investment. It doesn't have to be a 5-year payback, even a 10-year payback. It can be a 15, 20-year payback, but we feel like that's the right thing to do, which is why we did it.
Are you alone as an organization when you look at the KJLC, or did you surround yourself with other CEOs from that area, or maybe even outside of Pittsburgh?
Well, in the Pittsburgh region, I joined this organization called CEOs for Sustainability. So there's 60 CEOs in the Pittsburgh region that are dedicated and committed to being sustainable organizations. So we meet frequently and talk about best practices, try and get tips for how to be more sustainable in our organizations and through our supply chain. And also I can see in the industry, companies like Solvay, like Edwards, Martin Toner at Edwards, Rose Catherine at Solvay, we've built great relationships with sustainability as the core. And I think that traditionally you had a lot of companies that would just build relationships based on economic benefit to each other.
Correct.
But now we look at, all right, how do we take the economic benefit and sustainability and create a larger partnership where we can have a bigger impact? So this is early days. We're just getting started here. There's a lot more that we can do. I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited for all the new ideas. Our employee base is really jumping on board. We're getting a lot of good ideas, which I think is really important. You got to get these ideas flowing. Yeah, so the company started back in 1954. My grandfather, he was a chemist and a salesperson at a company called Boder Scientific. And he lost his job. He got laid off. So he decided at that moment, I want to be in control of my own destiny. Mm-hmm. how am I going to do that? I'm going to start my own company. So he went in to register his company, and they said, what's the name of your company? I said, I don't know. I said, what products are you going to sell? I don't know. They said, all right, just name it after yourself. Then you can sell whatever you want. That's why he called it the Kurt J. Lesker Company.
Okay, that's now it's explained very well.
And he
Good.
started off selling just about anything and everything he could. He was selling medical equipment, analytical equipment. We were a manufacturer's rep for some vacuum fluid. Also, we sold office furniture, you know, anything that we felt like we could get at a deal and then sell off. Now, he had great relationships with his customers, and I think if you look at the evolution of the company over 68 years, there were quite a few changes. His relationships allowed us to go from being a manufacturer's representative to a distributor. We had great relationships on the East Coast of the U.S., and then when my father came in, he had these dreams of becoming a national sales company.
Which year that was happening when your father took over?
So he joined in 1979. He joined in 1979. He was working for Rockwell, helping to build the spaceship, and then joined the organization. My grandfather moves to California. We open up our Livermore, California facility, and we become a national distributor, allowing us to get a lot of partnerships in the U.S. But Kurt III, he had a very strong vision, and he wasn't afraid to push it forward, and that was to become a global organization. So under his leadership over 36 years, we opened up facilities in Budapest, Hungary, and that was before the Iron Curtain fell.
Correct. So it was an interesting time.
Very interesting time. There's some great stories about that. We opened up our offices in the UK. We opened up an office in 2007 in Shanghai, China, and then Hong Kong, and Toronto as well. So really, we became a global company under his leadership. We also got into manufacturing. Then back in the 80s, he said, we need to build our own vacuum systems. Our customers are interested in vacuum and thin film coatings. We need to get expertise in that. So we actually then started building our own vacuum deposition systems. At times was not very popular with the board and the owners. You know, they said, hey, we're not making money at this, we're not making money. And that's where he pushed back hard and said, you know, have faith. We're looking at this for the long run, not just the short run. And I'm really glad, I'm thankful he did that. While it was difficult years, and some years barely being profitable, now I look back and I say, wow, you know, now we have the infrastructure.
Correct.
We have the employees, we have the customer base.
Well, he created future, basically.
He did, he created the future. Well, it certainly is not just me.
Yeah.
I mean, we have such a great team of people. We have a lot of people that have been with us for more than 20 years. Our executive leadership team, I mean, I can't thank them enough. When Kurt passed away, I went to each of them and I said, look, I understand you've been in this a long time with Kurt. If you feel like it's time for you to do something else, it's too emotional, then it's okay. And each one of them looked at me and said, Kurt, if you're in, I'm in. I said, well, I'm all in. And you had the executive team, you had the family, my two sisters who are great, I mean, phenomenal. One's our vice president of HR, the other one our CFO, and my mother, who oftentimes doesn't get as front and center a picture, but she really had a lot to do. She was with us, she's been with us since 1976. She's the chairman of the company. She led our IT group for over 45 years and has been responsible for a number of new systems that have come into the organization. And our board was very supportive as well, my aunt and uncle, and longtime employees. So for me, I've worked with a lot of our team when I took over in 2015. I had been with the company 11 years, so it was like, okay, where's the future? And as we look forward, we look back at, okay, what made us successful to where we are today? And the future, to me, is around sustainability. It's around development of IP, developing our own products, our own technology to sell along with the great partnerships we have with manufacturers. Traditionally, if you look, historically, the Lesker Company has been very strong in R&D. That's where we got our start. We were in every university, government lab in the US, most in Europe, and even in Asia as well. That's not going to stop. We're going to continue to have a core focus on our R&D customers. But what we've been able to do over the last couple of years is really build up capacity and infrastructure to service more production-oriented customers. And so as a lot of those R&D customers that have known us for years through grad school, through their postdocs, they now move into industry. And now they want to get the same reliable service, the same great technical support that they've received over the years, same great products, and we can support them on the production side as well. So that's a big part of our future as I look forward.
Well, welcome to the future.
Love flying. I absolutely love it. The freedom, the feeling when you lift off from the earth, there's nothing like it. So my grandfather, not Kurt Lesker, actually Ray Bland, this is my mother's father. He was a B-24 pilot during World War II. He flew 42 missions. You think about the movie Memphis Belle, they flew 25 missions and then they were done. He flew 42 missions. So definitely growing up around him got me really excited around aviation. My father, he was an instrument rated pilot. He had almost 5,000 hours of log flight time. And we took a lot of trips flying around the country. And this is a small single engine plane, but he would pack the whole family in there, my mom, my two sisters. I remember flying around the country. I remember flying over the Grand Canyon actually, and we were all so tired. Everybody was asleep. And he said, guys, the Grand Canyon's down there. We're like, oh, Dad, we're tired. He goes, everybody, get up and look out there and you will enjoy it.
He imposed pleasure for you guys.
He said, you will enjoy it. And I'm glad he did, because it was actually beautiful flying over the Grand Canyon. So I got my pilot's license in 2008. It was, again, just an amazing feeling. And I use it for work. I travel to see suppliers, customers. One of the other things I do, which I really love about it, is I'm passionate about animals, I'm passionate about flying, so I fly for this organization, Pilots and Paws. And we will go pick up animals that are in distress situations. One was hit by a car, one was in a really bad situation, it was about 60 pounds underweight.
Very noble thing, yeah.
A couple that were going to be euthanized, and we'll pick them up. And then there's organizations or people that are willing to adopt, to rehab, and we'll fly them generally a couple hours to a place where they're going to be taken care of.
That's very
so it's such a great cause, and it also combines two of my passions.